Is this thing on? This thing's on, right? This is not any sort of ASMR. Pokemon ASMR. Hello, everyone. Welcome. What's going on, everyone? My name is Jim, or Hef, and here we are today with something a little bit different than what we usually do. Usually we're here doing Nuzlocks or rebalancing different kinds of Pokemon, but for those of you who've been around the channel for a decent amount of time, you guys should know by now that I participate in a Pokemon Draft League. I've actually participated in a few of these draft leagues, but the main one that I participated in is called Pokemon Fun League. Now, Pokemon Fun League, they have their own YouTube channel. If you guys have not already checked them out, just do a quick little YouTube search. They're right there. Go subscribe. The main guy, Joe, puts in a lot of work into the streams, into the content, that sort of thing. It's really, really cool. But anyway, Pokemon Draft League is basically where you're given a certain amount of points, and you're able to draft a team. You get 1,100 points. You're able to draft 11 Pokemon total. And week to week, you basically have to battle 6-on-6. With pretty much every other competitor in the league. There's like 10 weeks, and then it leads into playoffs, into semifinals, quarters, or quarters, semis, you guys know what I'm saying. And then finally to the championship. And so that's something that I've been competing in the last, I would believe, maybe 2 years or so. I've done a couple other leagues, but PFL is a league that I have not won. Previously, I've made content on the channel about PFL seasons 9 as well as 10. Basically, I would just kind of go through. I would talk about my team building process as well as then post-commentate the battle itself. Just as some sort of like competitive Pokemon content for you guys, as well as for me. I thought it was a lot of fun to make. And I also really enjoyed the team building, the strategy, as well as week to week having to prep for different opponents with different Pokemon. So, in a Pokemon Draft League, basically, you select a Pokemon and nobody else is able to have that Pokemon. You draft it like it's fantasy football or something of that sort, You draft the Pokemon as if they're their own player, they're added to your team, and you can basically choose whether or not to bring them week to week. You get 11. Obviously, Pokemon's fought in 6v6 competitive battles. And you get to just kind of build your team the way you see fit for your given opponent. You know your opponent's team ahead of time. So there's a lot of really, really cool stuff in the builder, a lot of really great prep work, and that sort of thing. So I'd done content on seasons 9 and 10, and it was before my YouTube channel even really became sort of a thing. If you guys want to see any of that, obviously it's still up on the channel. I basically have 9 and 10. It's like sort of 20-ish videos. So if you want to go check them out, feel free to do so. Link's going to be in the description of the different playlists. But this is something new because since upgrading all of my channel and all my stuff, I have the ability to actually live commentate stuff. And I won't be actually doing the battles themselves live for you guys, but they will be uploaded after the fact, after they're finished, after I get a chance to cobble together the team building as well as the actual battle itself. But for now, what we're going to do today is I'm actually just going to go over a brief overview of the team that I've drafted for PFL 11 because it is a team that I think that if we're making content on it week to week, it's good to be familiar with it. If it's something you guys are interested in, obviously you can follow Pokemon Fun League as well as just kind of keep up to date with the channel, the standings, all that sort of stuff. They do like 2 broadcasts-ish a week. One main one on Tuesdays, and then another one that kind of goes over the results of the week and the cool plays and sets and stuff that players bring. But for now, I figured it would be a great opportunity just to kind of get acquainted with the team that we've drafted. So starting right off the bat here, first pick. Now, this is a Pokemon that was not allowed into the league. Before this season, actually. Tapu Lele was indeed banned in the league because it was deemed too powerful. Now there's Pokemon like Dracovish, Aegislash, Mega Mawile running around, so basically it was decided that Tapu Lele would be indeed let into the league, and I wanted to scoop that up as soon as possible. Tapu Lele, really, really good special attacker. Obviously, a ton of special attack. Psychic Surge is super cool as well because it blocks priority as well as increases damage that Psychic type moves do. It gets access to Focus Blast, Thunderbolt, I believe Energy Ball. I want to say Energy Ball. I'm going to scroll down real quick just to see. Yes, it does. Very cool. And yeah, it kind of gets coverage moves. It gets screens. It gets Aromatherapy gets, a whole bunch of different things. Calm Mind, you can run a boosting set with Tapu Lele. You can run Scarf Lele. This league does indeed allow Z crystals as well. You can only use Z crystals on 2 Pokemon that you select, Lele being one of mine. So I could actually opt to run Z crystal on Lele as well. Lele gives a bunch of options for us as a team, allows us to hit hard, maybe even hit fast, or honestly provides some sort of utility. Psychic Fairy is a pretty good defensive typing. Fairy, obviously the better of the 2 types, but it actually means that Tapu Lele isn't entirely walled by dark types either, which is really, really sick. As well as takes neutral damage from something like Knockoff. So I'm pretty excited to use Tapu Lele. I'm not going to spend a ton of time per mon, but I just kind of wanted to get you guys acquainted with each one. And the picture of what our team looks like will start to come together as, I go mon to mon and we figure out sort of the synergies and stuff that each one has. But Lele was the first building block that I decided to draft. I'm very excited to use it. Obviously, a really good special attacker. I've never used Tapu Lele before, and I am definitely excited for it. So, to complement Lele, in round 2, I knew that I was going to get a Steel type, and I didn't know exactly what Steel type I wanted. I was considering Skarmory, I was considering Magnezone, but I eventually just settled on the big dog himself, Ferrothorn. Obviously, for those of you who follow competitive Pokemon, you guys know that Ferrothorn is absolutely ridiculous. Grass Steel, fantastic defensive typing. On top of that, it has Iron Barbs. On top of that, it has Stealth Rocks, access to Spikes. It gets Leech Seed. It gets Knockoff. It's honestly far and away a really, really good utility Pokemon. It can do chip damage, just Iron Barbs, Rocky Helm. You can run Leftovers. You can run Leech Seed. There's a bunch of things that Ferrothorn can do to serve as a defensive backbone of a team. And it has a lot of really good synergy with Tapu Lele. Most notably, Lele basically beats every single fighting type that might want to come into Ferrothorn. So that is definitely a really good synergy to have on our team. Ferrothorn, I knew I wanted more like a defensive backbone, something to really be able to eat certain hits, potentially live super effective stuff, and then just, kind of be fine afterward. I have never really used Ferrothorn either. Most of the time, I go for a Pokemon that I have not necessarily used competitively. Every Pokemon on this team currently is a Pokemon that I have not used previously in the past in any of these draft leagues, except for I think Mamoswine. I'm not totally sure. Actually, I don't remember if I used Mamoswine in any of them. But for the most part, I like to kind of make it unique, make each team that I build in different leagues unique. And this is going to be the first time that I've really hunkered down with Ferrothorn. And I'm very excited because I know Ferrothorn's obviously a really good Pokemon, really good defensive backbone, and I am definitely excited to have it as part of the team. Now, this league, it does allow Megas. You're allowed 1 Mega per team. You have to use the Mega form of the Pokemon. You cannot use, let's say you're running Slowbro. You can't just run Slowbro with Leftovers 1 week and then Slowbro with the Slowbronite another week. You have to run Mega Slowbro. You have to have it equip its Mega Stone. You don't necessarily have to have it evolve, but it does need to be equipped with the Mega Stone to do so. And the Mega that I selected for this team to round out Tapu Lele and Ferrothorn was actually Mega Sharpedo. Now I'm going to scroll down here because these Pokemon are, obviously they're the same Pokemon, but they function in a very interesting way. So, obviously if you guys know anything about Sharpedo, it gets Speed Boost, it gets Rough Skin, it's a pretty frail glass cannon, but it kind of gets out of control if it gets a couple Speed Boosts up. Hits pretty hard on the physical side, and it actually hits decently hard on the special side as well. But what really makes Sharpedo good is its Mega Evolution, is being able to get a Speed Boost turn 1. Maybe protect, maybe catch him on a good switch or something like that, and then Mega Evolve into Mega Sharpedo, gain 20 points in attack, even 15 points in special attack, as well as 10 points in speed, and actually be able to just kind of, clean teams. So another reason that I selected Sharpedo was because of the synergy it has with Tapu Lele mostly. Psychic Surge blocks any kind of priority, meaning that Sharpedo can't get hit by a Mach Punch, a Vacuum Wave, a Quick Attack, anything like that. Sharpedo is not going to be taking any damage from because it is technically a grounded Pokemon. Flying types can get hit by stuff in Psychic Surge because they're not technically touching the ground. They're not technically touching the terrain. So Sharpedo is a Pokemon that I'm very excited to use. It has not had a very colorful history in the league, despite being what I'd consider one of the better Megas that exists in there. Obviously, most Mega Evolution Pokemon are pretty good, except for, Camerupt and I don't even want to say Glalie is not that good, but like Camerup's probably as bad as a Mega Evolution gets. But Sharpedo is going to be really, really cool. Obviously, it's a more physical counterpart to Tapu Lele being special, Ferrothorn being defensive. I think that, especially with access to stuff like Close Combat, Flip Turn, Psychic Fangs, there's going to be a lot of fun ways that I can build Mega Sharpedo for my opponents week to week, and I'm really excited to kind of get into that nitty-gritty when it comes time to team build for them. So, after that, I sort of was hesitant as to what I wanted. All of this draft of these Pokemon takes place within basically like 48 hours. So you select your first few Pokemon, you might get sniped, another person might take a Pokemon you really wanted, and you're like, oh man, like I really wanted this for my team. And I sort of didn't know what I wanted to be my fourth pick. I was initially thinking Druddigon. I thought it would be really interesting to have a Ferrothorn Druddigon core, kind of, like both being Rough Skin, Iron Barbs-ish, potentially both being able to run Rocky Helm, really being able to stop physical threats. But I actually decided that I wanted a little bit more speed and utility than that, so I opted to pick up Noivern. And Noivern is a Pokemon who, again, I have only used in like a playthrough. I've never actually used a Noivern competitively, but it gets a few decent things in my opinion. Frisk, Infiltrator, obviously Telepathy doesn't come in handy at all, but Frisk identifies items, which is really, really helpful in a draft league. Being able to know what sort of set your opponent brings really, really helps, just because people tend to bring sets that are kind of out of the box in order to counter your team, and being able to frisk an item, like let's say they're running like, this is a wild example, but let's say they're running like a Choice Band Milotic. Like, why would you ever run a Choice Band Milotic? I don't know, but if Noivern's there, Noivern can know there's a Choice Band, know there's probably a physical move coming, and then we can kind of play around it accordingly. Infiltrator goes through screens and sub, which is really good in its own. But most of the reason that I picked Noivern is just for its speed tier, its defensive typing, being able to take, obviously, fighting type attacks, again, grass type attacks, fire type attacks, pretty important. Even though Noivern's not the most bulky boy, he's able to kind of do what I'd like him to do. Tailwind support, U-turn pivoting, being able to potentially hit hard with a Draco Meteor or a Flamethrower or even like a Boom Burst or something like that. Noivern I thought was a really good addition to our team, and actually rounded out a Dragon Fairy Steel core that I was kind of working on. And I was actually really, really excited because of the price point that Noivern was at. I think that it's pretty good. And I'm very excited to use it. 123 speed means that it does indeed outspeed even a bunch of Scarf Pokemon. Lower speed Scarf Pokemon do get outsped by higher speed regular Pokemon. So that's really interesting as well. I'm really excited to use Noivern, and I think that it really complements specifically the core of Lele and Pharaoh. I guess it complements Sharpedo if I wanted to run like a Tailwind set or something like that, or pivot into Sharpedo. But, for the most part, it's just to complement Lele and Ferrothorn. Unfortunately, due to the fact that it's a flying type Pokemon, it can get hit with Ice Shard because it's not touching the Psychic Terrain. Obviously, Psychic Terrain's not going to be up all the time, but when it is something that I need to be worried about. When I don't really need to be worried about that with other Pokemon on my team, but it's going to be fine. Noivern is really, really cool, and I'm excited to use it. And that brings us to the next Pokemon that I actually didn't even think I was going to draft. I had no intention of drafting this Pokemon until I thought to myself, I need another Stealth Rock setter. Ferrothorn obviously can be a Stealth Rock setter, but I thought that I really wanted to use a really kind of weird out-of-the-box pick in Nihilego. Another Pokemon that I've not used even a little bit. I was attracted to Nihilego for my team. Whoa, hold on. Just because of its crazy special attack stat, it's got pretty good special defense. Obviously, Lele and Ferrothorn both already have pretty good special defense. It's fast. It's fat on the special side. It can run Power Meteor Beam sets. It can be Stealth Rock lead. With Psychic Terrain up, it can even have like boosted Psychics. You can run Specs. You can run Focus Sash. You can run a whole bunch of things with Nihilego. You can run Hazards. And overall, it was just kind of it was kind of like an on-the-spot pick. I was like, I need a rock type. I need another setter. And I was like, well, I kind of want a special attacker. And Poison Rock totally fit exactly what I was going for, and Nihilego is the only Poison Rock type. So we have a Speed Boost on Sharpedo, Beast Boost on Nihilego. My team can just kind of spiral out of control if my opponent lets it. I am kind of running more of a hyper-offensive style team, and a Nihilego really complements that, so I'm very excited to use this thing, as well as the many wacky sets that it gets. It gets crazy coverage, like Rock, Poison, it gets Grass Knot. I think it gets T-Bolt, I want to say. I think it even gets... It does. It gets T-Bolt. It gets Toxic Spikes, too, which is really, really cool. Sludge Bomb's really good. Mirror Code. It gets Knockoff as well, in case I wanted to run it, like, like to sort of catch a pivot or something like that, a special defensive pivot mostly. But I am definitely excited to use Nihilego. Never used it before. And actually, you know what? My team does pretty decent versus Earthquake in general. And, having a Rock Poison type who has physical defense stat of 47, you need some answers to Earthquake, which I do indeed have in, like, Ferrothorn and this next Pokemon, actually, who is Masquerain. Now, Masquerain was a Pokemon I knew I wanted to use. I knew that I wanted to use Masquerain. I think that Masquerain is pretty underrated in a draft league. Having access to Intimidate, as well as Sticky Webs, as well as Quiver Dance, in general, that's just 3 really good traits for it to have. It has U-Turn, it has Roost, it has Scald. In Generation 8, obviously it has Heavy Duty Booties as well. Masquerain itself is not in Generation 8, but we are allowed to use Generation 8 items. The only things we can't use are actually just Hidden Power. That's really the only thing we can't use. As well as Dynamaxing is indeed banned in the league, so we won't be Dynamaxing any of the Pokemon in any of our battles, but Z-moves are there, Megas are there. None of the dumb Generation 8 garbage, right? But Masquerain, obviously, really good Pokemon. Bug Flying, another quad fighting resist. Access to Webs means my team's going to go even faster. You think of Noivern and Nihilego and Feeny with Webs, and I'm like, yeesh. Like, Sharpedo doesn't even need to speed boost if Webs are up on the other side of the field. As well as Intimidate, potentially weakening physical attackers on the other side of the field, give Ferrothorn and other Pokemon that I have a much easier time switching in to physical attackers. So I think the Masquerain actually rounded out my team very nicely and was actually going to be my 5th pick instead of Nihilego, but I figured Nihilego might go first, so I ended up picking Masquerain up 6th, and I'm very glad that I got this thing. Definitely excited to use some Webs. It's not going to come every week, probably, because for the most part, my Pokemon are fast in general. But for that extra little boost of Web support, I'm definitely going to have Masquerain probably come to a bunch of matches. So, again, very excited to use it. Probably won't use it as a sub-sweeper, but we'll see. Again, team building week to week. So, the next Pokemon that I wanted to use, I was absolutely very, very excited to use it. Mostly because it gets a bunch of moves in Generation 8. It gets U-Turn. This is Blaziken, by the way, the firefighting starter of the Hoenn region. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, wow, Speed Boost, like 2 Speed Boost Pokemon? Unfortunately, Speed Boost Blaziken is indeed banned in our league, so I am going to be forced into running Blaze week to week. That is absolutely fine. Blaziken has previously been an Uber's Pokemon, so the way that we had gotten around that in the past was just having Blaziken be a Pokemon that has to run Blaze and kind of functions as just a regular Scarfer or Bander as it has in Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald, as well as Diamond and Pearl. Obviously with Black and White they got Speed Boost, and then the Blazikens they just shot up. Their stock just increased, But we're going to have to run a Blaziken, and that's totally fine with me. Blaziken firefighting, super duper good coverage. 120 attack, 110 special attack means that it can be run on either side, frankly. It can be run Scarf, Band, and there's just a bunch of things that we can do with Blaziken. It gets crazy coverage, Earthquake, Thunder Punch, it gets U-Turn, Aura Sphere, run on either side. And Blaziken is actually the second Pokemon that I have designated as my Z captain, which means that it is able to use Z moves alongside Tapu Lele. So we might be hitting a Firium Z or a Fightium Z or something like that. I'm excited to use Blaziken. It was actually one of the mons that I had pretty much guaranteed myself. I was like, I know I want to draft Blaziken. Blaziken's going to be my fire type. Blaziken's going to be my fighting type. This is it. This is the moment. And I got Blaziken 7th, and I could not be happier. Kind of flies under the radar usually, but it was one of the Pokemon I was definitely going to pick up. Noivern, Nihilego, I had no idea I was going to pick up. Blaziken, I absolutely knew I was going to pick up, so very excited to use him. And yeah, so the next Pokemon we picked up actually was Lanturn. And Lanturn is here for a couple of reasons. Lanturn's here because it is a pretty decent special defense pivot. We already have a water type, obviously, in Mega Sharpedo, but Mega Sharpedo is more of a frail physical Pokemon. Lanturn's more of a bulky special Pokemon with access to pivoting, with Volt Switch. Being able to run Volt Absorb or Water Absorb, depending on what opponent I'm facing, is really, really nice. Having access to Heal Bell as well is really cool. I can run Lanturn Assault Vest, I can run Air Balloon. Lanturn can do a bunch of different things and kind of functions as a piece of the backbone of my team with Ferrothorn. Not that Lanturn's going to come every week, but for weeks that I want to play at a maybe slower tempo, Lanturn I've seen put in great work in our league, and I'm really excited to use it. Lanturn is a very unique Pokemon. It's basically just worse Rotom Wash. It's Rotom Wash who's able to get hit with Earthquake, but you can obviously run Scald, Volt Switch, leftovers, that sort of thing. It can sort of function as a defensive pivot, especially behind screens, which a few of our Pokemon get, so we'll see how using Lanturn turns out. I'm pretty excited to use Lanturn. It might not come every week, but it's definitely going to be a valuable asset to our team. The next Pokemon I decided to pick up was actually Komala. Now, Komala was a Pokemon who I had not even thought about until I looked at its move pool. And I thought, you know, I need a Rapid Spinner. If I'm going to have Toxic Spikes on Nihilego, Spikes and Stealth Rocks on Ferrothorn, Stealth Rocks on Nihilego, Sticky Webs on Masquerain, you know, I'm going to want the ability to clear hazards off my own field while leaving them up on the other field if I choose to run a bunch of hazards. So I thought I need a Rapid Spinner. And the Rapid Spinner that, to me, best fit my team was actually this Komala. And Komala is really, really interesting because of its ability. So you can run like a Sleep Talk Last Resort set. You can run U-Turn, Sucker Punch, Rapid Spin, and Return even. So there's actually a few ways you can run Komala. And it's actually pretty decently bulky on the special side. 95 SpDef really isn't anything to sneeze at, especially if I happen to be running an Assault Vest Komala. If I am running like a U-Turn, Sucker Punch, knockoff, Rapid Spin set, an Assault Vest is perfect for Komala, and I am definitely excited to use this thing. 115 attack is much bigger than I think people give Komala credit for. I don't think anybody really has noticed that this Pokemon has kind of a crazy attack stat. Which you wouldn't think so based on how it looks, but this is our first normal type. It is another weakness to fighting, but obviously we have checks in Masquerain, in Tapu Lele, and that sort of thing, so I'm actually not super worried about fighting types. This is a spinner, this is a pivot. This thing even gets wish support, it gets knockoff support. A few different things we can do with it. Not really an integral part of the team, but definitely a cool option. You'll find that as you get lower and lower down the draft ladder, you have to start picking up lower point Pokemon, less good Pokemon. That's just kind of how Draft League works. And Komala is one of those who is at the lowest points. You can get a Komala for 40 points, and I was definitely excited to use it. So we got Komala. Here it is, our little Rapid Spinner who cannot be toxic, which is pretty cool, especially with an Assault Vest. That actually helps its longevity a lot. But we'll see how Komala goes. I don't know exactly who I'm going to bring it to, but I'm hoping that we can use Komala to great effect. The 10th Pokemon we picked up is indeed Flapple. Now, Flapple was a Pokemon that I was like, initially before we even started the draft, I was like, oh my god, Flapple's so good, so broken. And I got a grass type already. I got Ferrothorn. I got a dragon type already. I got Noivern. And I was like, I was looking at different, I only had 60 points left. Able to spend before I got my last Pokemon. I was like, you know, like none of these Pokemon really stand out to me. And then I saw Flapple and I was like, well, you know, if I choose not to bring Noivern or not to bring Ferrothorn one week, I think it'd be fun to bring a Dragon Dance Flapple set or a Banded Hustle Outrage or Acrobatics or something along those lines. Flapple has a few different options it can run. Obviously, Hustle's a really, really good ability, although I hate the accuracy drop, so I find that I'm probably going to be running Ripen more, even though it does impact its attack stat. I probably am just going to be running Ripen just to make sure that I don't miss any moves. Don't take note of that, my competition, if you're watching this video. But yeah, no, Flapple, Grab Apple's really cool. It gets Sucker Punch, it gets U-Turn, it gets Acrobatics, it gets some okay coverage moves. But for the most part, it's just going to be kind of a physical breaker. Hustle, Dragon Dance, if I happen to run anything to boost its accuracy, I don't even know what I would do. I don't know if I can outfit this thing with like a wide lens or a zoom lens or I have no idea. But there's a few different things I'm going to be able to do with Flapple. A little bit redundant with the grass and dragon types, but I thought my team was pretty well-rounded as it is. So I felt like I was free to have a little bit of fun with that pickup. And lastly is indeed the big man. It is Mamoswine. And Mamoswine's a really, really good Pokemon. And usually, you get to the end of the draft, you kind of sputter off, you have to pick up some lower point mons, but I saved up enough points where I could grab Mamoswine last, while most of my competition didn't have enough points to even consider doing so. I knew Mamoswine was safe. I decided to pick up some lower tiers first, and I'm very, very lucky that I got away with Mamoswine. This thing covers a lot of our weaknesses. It is definitely not a really good switch into fire type attacks, but just the offensive presence that Mamoswine exudes. Earthquake, Knockoff, Icicle Crash. I'm pretty sure it gets Super Power. It gets a whole bunch of different kinds of moves. Stone Edge, Ice Shard, Endeavor. I could go on and on about Mamoswine. Oblivious is really cool because I'm pretty sure in Generation 8, I'm going to just hover over it. Yep, it is indeed immune to Intimidate as well, which is really, really nice ability for it. Thick Fat, if I wanted to maybe not take damage from ice types. Obviously, Noivern can get hit by ice type moves. Sharpedo can get hit by Freeze Dry. Ferrothorn doesn't love ice types. Masquerain doesn't love ice types. Lanturn doesn't love, or Flapple. So our team's a little bit weak to Freeze Dry. Mamoswine kind of covers that, kind of compensates for that. Most of the reason that I'm using Mamoswine actually is because of the previous mentioned Ice Shard. It's a priority move that actually can pick off flying types, because flying types are not indeed affected by psychic terrain. They're hovering above the ground. So it actually offers a decent amount of synergy with the rest of our team. It's a ground type. It's another Stealth Rock setter if I wanted to. It could be a designated lead. It could be a early game wall breaker. It could be more of a defensive backbone if I really wanted it to. 110, 80, 60 is not incredible, but it certainly can function as a makeshift defensive pivot on some teams. And I'm definitely excited to use this thing. It was one of those Pokemon that I didn't go into the draft thinking I was going to use, but it was one of those Pokemon that I thought by the end of the draft, I was like, my team absolutely needs something like Mamoswine, an offensive ice type with rocks, who's able to be run either Scarf, a Band, a Life Orb, a whole bunch of different things that Mamoswine can do. It's also a Freeze Dry user, and even though it only has 70 special attack, Freeze Dry is in itself a really, really good move. I think Freeze Dry is probably one of my favorite moves. And I'm really glad that I picked up an ice type who has access to Freeze Dry, as well as another physical attacker, because we have a couple really strong special attackers in Lele, Nihilego, and Noivern, and even Blaziken. So Mamoswine is more along the lines of a physical Pokemon, and kind of rounds out my team, which I'm going to dub as balance / hyper offense. Bulky, it's not even really bulky offense, it's more like hyper offense. Usually I end up running like a bulky offense build in my draft leagues. This time it's a little bit more fast and loose. I'm really excited to use this team. I'm actually just going to go back to this tier list here, because that basically covers the team that I will be using. This is definitely more of a this is sort of a short introduction to the team. I'm not going to be heavily editing this at all. I'm just going to kind of have my thoughts, introduce you guys to the team that we're going to be working with the next 10 or so weeks, because I do plan to upload at least a video weekly on this draft league. Keep in mind, guys, if you enjoy the content, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I was considering bringing back my Pokemon Draft League, like team building and actual battles. And in the poll I put on YouTube, it was actually something that people had wanted me to see, as well as something that was requested of me outside of, the YouTube channel. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'll test it out. I'll try to bring it back. If it's successful, it may continue. But for now, we're just going to test it out. So the plan here is to win PFL13. I have not won a season yet. You guys are going to join me as I fight, hopefully, for victory. I'm really excited with the team that I've got. The first battle that I do is actually going to happen on Tuesday. Tuesday night, really late Tuesday night. I will not be streaming that night, but I will be playing on the league broadcast if you guys want to come through. Again, link to the PFL is in the description. If you want to, go subscribe, what have you, But yeah, so speaking of subscribing, if you guys aren't already subscribed, do so, right? But no, I'm going to get out of here. This is just a very quick introduction, very, not a really, kind of a short form video. Usually I edit these a little bit more, but I kind of just felt it important to just kind of go down my team, run it down, provide a little bit of context. Actually, you know what? That actually gives me the idea. There's 20 people in the league. There's 5 different divisions. You're in a division with 3 other people, and you kind of just have to battle twice within your division, each person, as well as 1 person from each other division, except for 1, over the course of a 10-week span. Whoever has the best record, best differential, moves on to playoffs, etc., etc. It kind of functions very similar to any sort of sports you guys might follow. But yeah, so I am definitely very, very excited to be participating in this league, as well as bringing this kind of content back to the channel. So all the support is greatly appreciated. I'm going to get on out of here. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for future PFL content. Yeah. Till next time.